Hey, Mr. Wiedemer here, Mr. Wiedemer's History. Today we're going to talk about after the war, the Treaty of Versailles, and what happens in America after World War I. This is 7.5. So, objective for 7.5, you guys will be able to assess the life of World War I by examining the Treaty of Versailles and life at home. So, the Socialist Democrats, led by Friedrich Ebert, announced the creation of a new republic, the Weimar Republic. And this is going to be a democratic republic in Germany. Well, this democratic republic was very weak, didn't have support of the public. Eventually gets overthrown, leads to the rise of the Nazi Party, and and the rest is history. But the Weimar Republic will begin on November 11th, 1918. With the Armistice Agreement, 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour. So we're going to start the Weimar Republic, the democratic republic in Germany. Right? So, how to end a war? We're going to sign the Treaty of Versailles. Great little video here. Check out. Treaty of Versailles. Basically, it punishes Germany big time. It establishes many new nations and created the League of Nations to basically end wars, to solve all international problems, to end future wars, and to bring peace throughout the world. So the Treaty of Versailles, one of the most important documents in the history of the world. Well, maybe not the history of the world, but the history of the 20th century of the world. We'll put it that way. The Treaty of Versailles. So January 1919 represented 27 victorious Allied nations. They're going to meet in Paris to make this final settlement. And, it took forever. You have people bowing out, people not getting what they wanted, so they leave. You have, United States not wanting to support it because of the League of Nations. You have, Germany not even invited to be a part of this, and they get reamed. And it's really crazy, really messed up, but very, very important. The Treaty of Versailles officially ends World War I in 1919. The Treaty of Versailles. And so Wilson, he became spokesperson for this. Democracy, international cooperation. We need the League of Nations. Part of his 14 points. A plan for lasting peace. And so he wants democracy, and he wants us to come together as one. The League of Nations, which is a precursor for the United Nations that comes after World War II. But we'll get to that later on. The League of Nations. Woodrow Wilson's, the one thing in Woodrow Wilson's 14 points actually made it in the Treaty of Versailles. So, that's pretty cool. Alright, we had David Lloyd George of Great Britain and Georges Clemenceau of France. They wanted, they wanted money from Germany. They said Germany's at fault. France wanted land from Germany. Britain wanted money, and Britain, they basically, blaming Germany for everything, and so they're wanting, reparations. They want stuff from Germany because of the war. Right? So reparations are a payment made to the victor by the vanquished to cover the cost of a war. You cost us all this money. You have to pay for it now. So they demand reparations from Germany. Germany this time is just in chaos and ruin and financial discontent, and it's just. But the Allied powers are making Germany pay for the war because they said Germany started the war. All right. League of Nations. Germany was not invited to the conference, as I mentioned earlier. This conference is basically pillaging the country of Germany of all of its resources, and stabbing it in the back. But they're not invited. They don't have a say in it at all whatsoever. Basically they have no choice but to sign this when it's done. Basically saying you can't do this, and this, and give us this, and that. It's really bad. One has to wonder why. No wonder why Germany, allowed someone like Adolf Hitler to rise up to power. Because look the way we treated them, and look how bad a situation they were in. No wonder they turned to someone like that to lead them. You really got to think. This can kind of directly correlate into World War II. This whole Treaty of Versailles and our reaming of Germany. It really didn't solve a whole lot. Some thought, yay, it's the end of all wars. Some were like, yeah, it's going to last like 20 years. Falk it says 20 years later it's going to be another war, and guess what? 20 years, another war started, World War II. So, you know, not a good deal. So, the conference accepted Wilson's proposal. Like I said, the League of Nations was the only 14 points that was accepted. All right, the U.S. Senate's like, thanks to him and Henry Cabot Lodge is like, I'm not accepting this because we're not joining the League of Nations. Sorry, not going to happen. So, the U.S. Senate would not approve of the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, they opposed it. Says, we're not joining the League of Nations. We're not doing it. It's not happening. Okay, so Wilson's like, this is about 14 points. This is my baby, my League of Nations, and you're just going to oppose it because you want to play politics and you don't want to be involved in this? And so it was kind of a big deal. Right? And then there's several reasons why the United States did not join the League of Nations. Alright? For example, alright, they're worried that sending out soldiers, people fight wars that they didn't want to be a part of. Alright, they didn't want to lose or die more soldiers for, inevitability that, we'll have to fight more international wars if we join the League of Nations. Alright? They didn't want British and France ruling the country and said, well, if we sign this League of Nations, the so-called, larger nations, British and France, will kind of control us, and we don't want that. We'll lose our identity, we'll lose our individualism, and we don't want that. Alright? And so they thought it would be like sign a blank check. Okay, here's some more money for the League of Nations. Oh, you want to fight another war? Oh, you want to do this? Here you go. And, sign a blank check. Alright? Plus, many felt the Treaty of Versailles was too harsh to Germany. How can you treat Germany like that? How could Germany not even be invited to this? Okay, doesn't the loser have any say in the matter? Right? And Wilson, he's unwilling to compromise. You have to sign this. Okay, you must join the League of Nations. You must do this. Henry Cabot Lodge, his chief opponent in Congress, is like, no. Alright, so the War Guilt Clause. This is the clause that says, Germany, you're to blame for war. You and you alone are to blame for World War I. As we know, they're not. It's a whole main, this is the alliances they had with Austria-Hungary, and that's one of the reasons for war. But the Treaty of Versailles blames Germany and Germany alone, called the War Guilt Clause. Right? Harsh reparations were paid to the Allied governments for war damages, reduction of Germany's navy and army, elimination of its air force, and France gets Alsace-Lorraine, which lost in the Franco-Prussian War prior to World War I, and so France gets those places back. But it's really just like I said, it reams, it pillages Germany of all of its power and economic might and everything, and it's really bad. We treat Germany really, really bad. Okay, that's why Germany rebelled, and then who's Germany blame for Treaty of Versailles? No, not really the Allies. They blame the Jews. They blame the Jews for stabbing them in the back, which in turns, leads to much hatred of the Jews during World War II. I mean, it really is, it's classic, anti-Semitism. It's been going on throughout the Middle Ages, even, up to the 20th century. I mean, it's just, you have a problem, who are you going to blame? The Jews. I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad. But that's what happens. Sections of eastern Germany were going to give them to Poland. Okay. Germany had demilitarized the Rhine River. That's the area right between France and Germany. They had demilitarized, no military presence in there whatsoever, because France is kind of scared of Germany. And so new nation states emerge, okay, such as Poland, Austria, Hungary, Romania, Yugoslavia, Finland, Turkey, Czechoslovakia, Soviet Union, and many Baltic states as Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. All these new countries, all these new nations were established because of the Treaty of Versailles. After World War I, we're going to break up the Austria-Hungarian Empire, break up the Ottoman Empire, all right? We create Turkey and, Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, all these nations were built, and Poland taken out of, all the land Germany got, a lot of the land Germany got from Russia, and the western part of Germany, you're going to take it and give it to Poland, right? So, that's many new states come out of it, so that's not a bad thing. As you see here, here's Germany. Here's the Rhineland. They had demilitarized that. Here's Alsace and Lorraine. It gets back to France. France gets that back. All right. They have to give Poland. All this belongs to Poland here. Poland's given a corridor. That means Poland is now not a little longer landlocked. But now they have a route to the sea. All right. And so Germany just gets really bad. Germany's forbidden to unite with Austria. Now the big brother can no longer support little brother. Alright? I mean, it's crazy. Crazy. You know, what happened to Germany. I mean, you kind of feel sorry for Germany. I mean, they're one piece of the puzzle that began the war, but get blamed for the whole thing, and then get, you know, reamed and pillaged because of it. You know, you kind of feel bad for them. I mean, you kind of understand in a way why, you know, they did the things they did in the years following World War One. I mean, by no means is it right what they did, but you kind of understand why they did it. You know, the way they were treated after Treaty of Versailles, and, you know, basically forced to sign this. Alright, so Europe and the Middle East, you see here's 1914, beginning prior to World War One. You see large Germany, Austria-Hungarian Empire, you know, all these countries, the Ottoman Empire. And then afterwards, you got Turkey, all right, became their own country. All these countries in Europe became independent. We got Poland. We got Poland. Russia returned to the Soviet Union with the Bolshevik Revolution. All right, and so beginnings of Iraq, Syria, Jordan, Palestine. All these countries here still controlled by colonial powers of Europe, but they begin forming their countries, and so you can see changes happening all around. Alright, quick review. Treaty of Versailles was signed, officially ending World War One. The U.S. did not approve of it because the admission of the League of Nations. They didn't want to be part of that. Alright, blamed Germany. Germany was pillaged with no say whatsoever in the matter, forced to sign this treaty. Alright, new countries were formed, took a huge psychological toll on people. War was not romanticized like many others. You know, we don't really speak much World War One. You don't really know much about World War One because there's not a lot of movies made out. Like in World War Two, there's tons and tons of films and everything made out of World War Two. World War One, not so much. Okay, a lot of good literature came out of it. You know, Ernest Hemingway was an ambulance driver during World War One, and he, you know, became a great writer. Many poems and songs and everything came out of there. But it really took a huge psychological toll on people. This is a crazy, hard war. You know, try to make it the war to end all wars. 10 million people dead, 20 million people wounded in this conflict from 1914 to 1918. 10 million dead. You know, remember 1.1 million dead for 10 miles of land. I mean, this is a crazy, brutal war. America after the war. Well, the U.S. began to demobilize. The industry converted back to peacetime production. Short-lived boom happened. Farmers, they're going to get, you know, hardships continue, and that leads into, you know, all throughout the 20s hardships, then Dust Bowl, and things get really bad for farmers. Okay, high prices come to labor unrest, a record number of strikes, 3,600 strikes going to occur in 1919. You got race riots in the North. All right, America goes back into its little shell, become isolationism again. We impose high tariffs. We become very much anti-immigration. We pass laws and quotas to restrict immigration. We really go back in our shell until, you know, World War II, until, you know, bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941. Really kind of become very isolationist again. Then the Red Scare. All right, we were afraid of communist revolution in America because the Bolsheviks in Russia turned Russia into the USSR. You know, 1917 led to communism, and they're like, all around the world, workers unite around the world. Let's make a communist world. And so many people in America were scared that this is going to happen in the United States. So it really became hard for anybody to speak out against the government. We talked about last time with Schenck versus the United States and everything. And we were really afraid of communism. This is really the first time that we were afraid of communism. All right, immigration came under suspicion. All right, KKK rose up to new heights. Wilson's legacy, you know, prohibition, women's suffrage, Federal Reserve Act, country wanted to turn back on rule responsibilities. Wilson predicted the end of World War. All right, but now all's quiet on the Western Front. All right, quick review. Treaty of Versailles ended World War I. Blamed Germany for everything. Took a huge toll on America. Killed millions of people. Wounded millions more. It's the war to end all wars. America faced many problems. Red Scare, afraid of communism. Workers went on strike. Farmers had it rough. Race riots occurred. Rise of KKK. America became isolationism again. And goodbye.